It's not really jiggly, but look how fluffy it is. This is literally the cake of my dreams. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Have you ever craved something that you've never actually had? Not sexually, like food-wise. That's exactly how I feel about this right here. I've been seeing these fluffy Japanese cakes and pancakes for years and years. I think the first time I saw a picture or a video of one of those was literally in the middle of high school. And even though making them apparently does not require a lot of work, I still have not managed to make them myself, let alone visit a place that sells them. And I've spoken about this before, but I love fluffy stuff. I love fluffy socks. I'm literally wearing fluffy socks right now. I always do. Merry Christmas. And of course, I love fluffy cakes. So this is something I've been craving for a long time. Now, I feel more comfortable with cakes. I love baking. I do it all the time. So I came across this 4-ingredient Japanese fluffy cake recipe, and I was like, this is a sign, let's do it. So let's get into this. Let's tame the beast of the hair. Receding hairline entered the chat. I look like a stay-at-home dad. Okay, so like I said, the great thing about this recipe is that you only need 4 ingredients. The first ingredients that they add in the video is vanilla yogurt. I just realized now that this is Greek yogurt. I don't know if that works. We're gonna find out. 1 cup of vanilla yogurt, which is about 136 grams. I don't remember the last time I had flavored yogurt. Usually I always go for all natural. I don't know how much 130. That's so little. I hope this cake is not gonna be like a mini muffin. I do have to say, this is some really good yogurt. The second ingredient is about 6 tablespoons of all-purpose flour, which is around 54 grams. I'm gonna just go with 55. And now the third condiment is the most important one. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the concept of baking, but fluff is literally just air inside a batter. In most recipes, mixing the condiments together, adding baking powder or baking soda does the job well enough. But if you want that extra fluff, you need to whip your egg whites. I don't know what the chemical backstory is to that, but if you whip egg whites hard enough and also add some sugar, you get something that looks like snow. It's just very stiff foam that you can then fold the rest of the batter into, and you have this extremely fluffy dough. Already before looking at any recipes at all, I knew that this was how the fluff inside these pancakes or cakes is created. Also, when it doesn't say it in the recipe, I just like to beat the egg whites separately because it just adds this extra wow factor to the cake. I literally whip my egg whites for a banana bread just because, I don't know, to me it makes the end product better. We need 3 eggs for this, and in order to beat the egg whites, you need to separate the egg white from the yolk. Alright, to the bowl of the egg whites, I already added the last ingredient, which is around 25 grams of sugar. When I first read this, I was like, wow, there's barely any sugar in there, there's barely any yogurt, there's barely any flour. This sounds like a pretty healthy dessert. Now, before we do the loud part, which is beating the egg whites, we're just gonna stir the flour, the yolks, and the yogurt together. I don't know about you guys, I've heard other people say this before, but baking has something extremely therapeutic for me. It gives me an outcome that I'm usually extremely happy with within an hour, if even. And it really forces me to focus on something that doesn't really matter, if that makes sense. It allows me to get away from a lot of stress and just, you know, enjoy the moment. So here's that. I have to say, it looks delicious. It really depends on how much sugar you're adding to the total recipe, but I like to add the sugar already into the egg whites just because it gives the egg whites more structure once they're whipped. Look, this is what I was talking about. I'm sure you've seen this all before. Like, I'm acting as if I discovered this, but it's very stiff because I already added the sugar. You can literally do this and nothing is gonna happen. Look at the structure of this. This is basically all air. That's the secret of any fluffy recipe. That's when you know it's ready. It's time to fold it into the rest of the batter and then put it in the oven. You see, and now we need to carefully mix it because otherwise we lose all the air that we just beat into those eggs. So that's why I also use the term fold it into the batter and not stir it or, you know, mix it, because that defeats the purpose. You have to carefully fold it. Okay, I think we're done. I mean, look. This is literally the dough. Look how fluffy and airy it is. It's perfect. I'm pretty confident this is gonna turn out exactly the way I want it to. All right, look at this. I'm by no means a professional baker. This is all just fun and games and a hobby, if even. So the fact that this literally looks like the recipe I looked at is very exciting to me. But before we get to throw it into the oven and see how it's gonna turn out, there's one last step which I've never worked with before. You can't just put this into the oven, you have to put it in a water bath in the oven so it bakes equally, if that makes sense. Here's our pan, you'll need a pan for this. Then we put our wonderful cake in the middle, and then you put water, hot water, all around it. Ah, it's hot. The oven needs to be 300 degrees Fahrenheit, not hotter, not colder. As you can see, our cake is literally swimming in this. It looks like a science experiment, but let's hope it turns out well. The cake now has to be in the oven for 1 hour. I'll see you guys then. Alright guys, it's an hour later, my hair is dry, and I'm about to take out our fluffy Japanese cake. It looks great. It looks exactly like in the video. We're just gonna be very brutal. Wow, it's so fluffy, I can already tell. Wow, so far so good. It literally just looks like a gigantic pancake. But before we do a taste test, let's add the finishing touch. We're gonna add a tiny bit of confection sugar on top to make it look pretty. Here it is, our finished Japanese fluffy cake. Wow. And it's not really jiggly, but look how fluffy it is. This is literally the cake of my dreams. Wow. I can literally feel the fluff. Whoa. It literally is as good as it looks. I could literally eat this entire thing, but we're practicing self-control. This is the end of the video. If you guys made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I couldn't be more excited about how this cake turned out. It is literally as fluffy, as tasty, and as light as it looks and as you've seen it online. It is really extremely easy to make. I think you probably have all the ingredients at home. I barely taste the vanilla of the yogurt, so I'm sure you can do this with normal yogurt as well. Again, I encourage you to do this yourself if you want to try something new. Thank you for showing love. Thank you for showing support. Let me know about your experiences with Japanese fluffy cakes or pancakes. This literally just looks like a gigantic pancake, so I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. I haven't done a baking video in a while, so I'm excited I'm back with that for this recipe. See you soon again, and take care. Bye.